Welcome to the Stamp House. Let's build our Cutie Mug together. Let's go over everything you'll need to make your mug. First, we have our cornstarch canister. This keeps your cornstarch nice and tidy. It has a puff inside that will help you apply the perfect amount for release. We have our acrylic templates that are backed with cork so they don't stick to your clay. We have an edgy tool, a bevel tool from Dirty Girls. We have a pin tool, a brush, a pottery knife, our stamps. We attach with vinegar in the studio. We have a Mud Tools finishing sponge. We have our GR form cutie. And we have a banding wheel. We use our Bailey slab roller to roll our clay to about 1/4 inch in thickness. Place your templates on your clay and use your puff to tap cornstarch on top of the little slots and guidelines on the template. This makes lining up your stamps very efficient and precise. Once you have liberally applied your cornstarch, you are going to cut out your templates with your pottery knife and a pin tool. Try to keep your knife as straight up and down as you can as you go around and cut out your template. Switch over to your pin tool to cut out your bottom template. It's easier to go around curved surfaces with a pin tool versus your knife. Next, use your pin tool to lightly score through your guidelines where your cornstarch has been applied. Just let the weight of the tool do it. You don't need to use a lot of pressure. And then go ahead and mark the dots as well. The score lines and the dots really help you line up your stamps when we get going. When I make my handle, I like to cut it out of my slab freehand. You can also use the edge of your template as a guide. I then like to do what I call a cheat pulled handle. I will hold one end of the handle, and with my sponge that is just damp, I will pull along the edge of my handle. This helps remove any sharp edges and makes it more comfortable in my hand to use. Do both sides of your handle a couple of times to make sure it's nice and rounded. For this handle, I am going to simply pick it up to bend it into shape and then press it down onto my board so that I have an area to attach to my mug later. You can also drape it over a handle form if you prefer. Place your handle at the top of your board so that it can set up and be ready to attach when we're done with our mug. Now let's stamp. Take the base of your mug, apply cornstarch to the area we will be stamping, and pick your favorite stamp. Line up your stamp before pressing in between the two dots that we've marked and sitting just along the line that we have also scored. First, press down directly with even pressure and then rock that stamp back and forth a little bit as you apply more pressure to get added depth. Once we have finished stamping the bottom of our mug, we need to take our template and center it again to the base. We are going to trim off any excess clay that has squidged out so that we are left with a perfect circle again. Flip over the base, realign your template, and we are going to dust the top with cornstarch again to give us a guideline so we can line up our GR pottery form perfectly. Now it's time to bevel. Place the base on your banding wheel, and we are going to use the 30-degree angle on our bevel tool to bevel the edge of our base. I press down and I press into the clay. I keep the base of my bevel tool flat against my banding wheel as I spin it around. Similar to peeling an apple, save that little strip of clay for later, and then we're going to score the edge of the bevel we've just created. I am going to use the foam press method to form the base of my pot today. I'm going to align my GR form cutie right in the center of the target that I've created with cornstarch. I like to spin it around to just make sure that I'm centered all the way around. And then I stand up and I press down with even pressure to form my base. Here's another angle of that so that you can see what it looks like when I place that form directly into the center target of cornstarch that I've created. I really love how quick and easy this process is and how I can get it perfectly aligned every time. Go ahead and set that cutie off to the side so that we can start stamping the body of our mug. Once again, apply cornstarch to the area that we will be stamping. I like to apply only what's needed in the row that I'm working on so that I don't dry out my clay too much. I'm going to take my stamp, I'm going to align it in between the dots just like we did before on the base. I make sure I have a clear view of that scored line and that I am even and directly above it. And again, I press, I rock back and forth to get a little added depth, and I lift up carefully. All of our stamps have the same curve radius and fit together like puzzle pieces. You could use multiple different stamps on the same row or the same stamp like I'm doing across the row. I'm also going to work with some negative space in my design, and I'm going to align my next stamp at the top of the points on my previous stamp so I have a negative space semicircle to add to my design. When I get to the very end and the edge of the clay, I make sure I don't use too much pressure so that I still have a nice edge to bevel and attach when I put my mug together. I'm going to smooth out any score marks that I have left over as I am not doing a rim design on this mug. Just like we did before, we are going to place our template back on top of our clay and trim off any excess clay that has squished out so that we're left with a perfect template again. You'll notice that you have more space on one side of your design than the other. That is for a reason, because that is the side that we are going to bevel. This time, when we bevel, we will use our 45-degree angle. We'll make sure our clay is flat on the board, and we will slide down and press the wire into our thumb. I'll then score the edge, flip your clay over, and repeat the same steps. Bevel, and then score. Finally, bevel the long curved side, which is the bottom of our mug body, with a 30-degree angle on your bevel tool. Before you bevel, make sure you use the 30-degree angle and make sure that you're beveling the bottom of your mug. Save that little strip of clay. You can add a little bit of vinegar to it or cover it with plastic so it stays pliable. Make sure all of your beveled edges are scored and stand your piece of clay on its rim with the texture facing outward. We are going to bend this in. Your clay has been stamped flat to the board, so you're going to have to help each little stamped area curve around nicely. Add vinegar or slip to your beveled ends to attach them. Make sure that you have a nice strong attachment and go ahead and smooth out that seam nicely. Before you apply vinegar or slip to your bottom to attach it, line it up and make sure that it is going to fit together really snugly. Remove the base from your form, apply vinegar or slip, and place your bottom onto the body of your pot. Gently squeeze both edges together to get a nice seal. Just be careful not to distort the shape. Use your fingers to carefully smooth the seam. Flip your mug over and check to see that you have a nice strong attachment and smooth rim. Coat that little piece of clay that we cut off earlier when we beveled in vinegar or slip, and we are going to place it right where those two seams meet on the interior of our pot. This is not necessary, but I like to do it as an added insurance policy to make sure I have a really strong joint. I then like to use my finger to smooth it out on the inside. I like to use a Tools Edgy tool to smooth my rim, but you can do that however you would like. On to our last step. Let's attach the handle. I like to mark where I'm going to place my handle with my pin tool. I will then apply vinegar to both ends of my handle and to the wall of my mug before scoring both. I then align my handle to the wall of my mug and I support from the inside with my other hand so that I can push my handle into my mug and get a secure attachment. Then I smooth my handle into my mug with my fingers. When I'm using a clay body that has no grog, I like to clean off my brush and smooth around and erase any fingerprints or smudges with my brush. I'm then going to flip my mug over and do the same to the underside of the handle. And then there you go, voila! A beautifully textured stamped mug. With dozens of stamps that fit together seamlessly, like interchangeable puzzle pieces, the possibilities are really endless. We can't wait to see what you come up with in your own designs. Tag us on social media and we'll feature you on our page. Thanks for joining us.